Hey, what's up, peep? Nomadic here. Sunday evening, Sunday salvage. We already did the salvage yesterday, and today we do basically the logistics of it. We also do some videos, as you could see maybe on YouTube. We published a little bit more, and there is a lot of interesting stuff going on, and there is much more behind the complete wipe they've done with the 4.8. This is interesting. Why is the ship still on the pad? And maybe we figured, yeah, the insurance fraud we talked about is just the tip of the iceberg, if you will, when it comes to what actually happened behind, what actually is behind the complete wipe. Yeah, they did a lot of changes. A lot of changes have been made. And you may have seen that we pledged for the Drake Buccaneer flight suit paint because we thought that we have a Buccaneer. Not that we actually bought the Buccaneer in-game, not that we pledged for the Buccaneer, no, but the Buccaneer was a loaner of some sorts, yeah. It was a loaner. And every now and then we fly the Buccaneer as a shuttle because it's super fast. And that's why we thought, okay, why not pledge it? Because it is the red paint, yeah, we love. Why is that so loud here? Because we love the red stuff, yeah. And even the, what is it, the red paint, the M50 comes with the red paint, and we had a look into it, of course, because not because origin ships are beautiful, at least in 300 series, but yeah, we looked into the M50 not because of the RSI, not because we have a use for another combat ship, no, but because of the red paint. And so we looked into it, but the red paint is just a catcher for us, but not the actual thing why we would even pledge. The red paint is the reason why we would pledge for the M50. So we had a look into it. This is interesting. We don't care about the money. We want to get rid of the rest, what's inside this ship. We cannot. Yeah, we would have pledged for the M50 because of the red paint, not because we have use of it, not because we actually like it, just for the red paint. So, but it is way too expensive. But that doesn't count for the Buccaneer. The Buccaneer with the red paint is also a ship we usually don't use except for a shuttle, but the red paint is just a thing, so we pledged for it. And after that, we went to our not existing personal hangar anymore, and we don't have the Buccaneer anymore. And then we went to the ship loaner ship matrix, and we noticed they updated the sheet. Yeah, that is one aspect. So we will probably do a video by the end of the month what we think is behind the wipe, what actually is behind the wipe. Alright, so going back to business, we got construction materials. We had done 3 contracts, 3 work orders, 2 left behind. The very first one we didn't do, one of our crew member did it, and so we sold the stuff and we shared the money. As soon as we will do we will bring the construction materials into the forest station, all of them, because we can sell it here at Arcal 1. That is the reason why we moved over to Arcal 1 to do this salvage challenge. And here you can see we got another contract, and here we got a way bigger number. And interestingly is that we all managed to get 42 SCUs. If we read the number correctly, it is centi. Centi is 100. 100 has 2 zeros. So 2 zeros, the point is here, 42 SCUs, and that is quite impressive here. When you, and we can show you what, maybe we can show you here, no, it's nothing. Article 1, we have boxes, 2 8 SCU boxes, that is 16 SCUs, yeah, we read right. But when we do that, 16 SCUs, back in the day, those number is the construction material itself, 16 SCUs. And when we just want to put up a construction work order, do we see what? No, we don't see. We did a high yield, and what we do is we choose a high yield one. This one, for example, get a quote. And then we see 320. Then we click to the next high yield, get a quote, it gets less. So gasking is definitely not the job we do. Another high yield, 320. Moderate, low. Alright, we got 2 contracts, work orders. We can set up for high yield, 320. Then we compare the price and the time. So this is 770. We can afford. Yeah, that is the most crucial part of it. We can afford. And then we go back to this Dynix high yield. It's even cheaper. And it takes 1 hour, 16 minutes. We do not care about time because we will get this stuff after free fly is over, and then we see either free fly is over and then next critical point would be the amount of work orders we can set up here. And here you see this is from Drake Day, at the proper Drake Day. From the moment on we figured out how to use the math. And here we got to do 181, yeah, that is 1,800? No, to do and done. So add that up, 2,000? Did we bring 2,000? No, it was less. Anyways, we will see at the end. By now it did 42 SUs, and that is interesting. 42 SUs by now. We can maybe see here on an old contract. This one gave us, no, we can see it here. 16 SCU boxes will give us 3.2 SCU refined construction material. That is a fourth, a quarter, not even a quarter of the amount of SUs in boxes we bring here. And we do not see any specialization here. So basically, if these information are correct, it doesn't matter to what refinery we will go, construction materials doesn't get a quarter. So when we bring 2,000 SUs, let's imagine we will bring 2,000 SUs and a quarter of this is 500. Do we get 500 SUs? The construction material price, or we can have a check on that. We go to the Galleria. Because 45 times 13K. And it took a lot of effort, to be honest, to get these few boxes. Here we see people start trading properly, and construction material is out of stock, 13k, yeah. 13k is the number. And let's say we got these 45 SU. 45 SU multiplied 13. That gives us 585,000. 500,000. Only 500,000 for an evening of work with 2 people. So that would mean the 600, yeah, we can round it up, 600,000, a little bit more than 500,000, split up by 2, and everybody gets 300,000. So we start doing our unorganized org a little bit more organized, and we are happy to see how that plays out with all these different people. And we set our minds like everybody who is involved in any activity gets a fair share, yeah, fair and square. And that would mean even the big contract, yeah, this 45 refined construction materials by now, yeah, it's not finished yet, will be split up into 5, because we had been in the first night a crew of 4, and the third night was in a group of 2, but that adds up one number because it's someone else. So that means 5 people of our org participated into this salvage challenge, and when we want to split it up for everybody, so everybody got just a tip, basically. All right. So what we want to do is we want to offload the stuff from Drake Defense Con Day 2. When we see the insurance loadout, it is just the Atlas without anything. So we basically lost all... No! Oh fuck, what did we do? We basically lost already 1 paint because of not knowing what we are doing. And then we did the Tumbril Cyclone tests, and then we started to know what we are doing. And we are not happy what we had seen, because a lot of people claimed that this insurance loadout is a snapshot, but it's not. Because if you have a snapshot, you always can revert to it, and that is something that we cannot. So if you ensure a loadout with customization, either components or paint or whatever, once you retrieve the basic loadout, your insurance loadout will be eliminated. Next time when you claim an insurance loadout, you will pay the fee, but you do not get the customization from it. Is that a scam? No, it's not a scam. It's just a shady business practice of an insurance company. I mean, that is the business they are in, right? And CIG knows how to play the game, because we do not play a game here, no, they play a game. So we will bring up these Atlas somewhere. This is the default loadout. We don't really care about this one because we already lost one. But when we go back to Lowville, and hopefully we do that today, then we will probably customize all this stuff, because now we have a little bit money. Now we can afford a little bit of customization and insurance. Oh, loadout, what's this? An empty box. Somewhere in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, and probably, just to get rid of this, we probably would need to claim a new ship. And that is 60,000. We don't have 60,000. All right, so this is the yield, the loot from yesterday. This is RMCs and the rest. Yeah, this is a problem. The grid is bugged as hell. This is all construction material, and you see from the eye, this is basically almost half of the ironclad. So that means 1000 SEUs. And together with the 16 already downstairs, a little bit more. Now this is the tedious part from the whole thing. And that alone actually proves that an ironclad solo doesn't make sense, yeah. You can do, it's absolutely no problem, but it doesn't make sense. We don't even know where to start here. Should we use the atlas or not? Probably it speeds up a little bit. So one good change what we noticed when it comes to the atlas, it actually points at the crosshair. Yeah, even if you think, can we? No. Even when you think it may not hit the box, it does. The crosshair shows it, and we want to prove it here once we manage to move around. So we do the triangle as usual, and we primarily make sure that we see the elevator more or less properly. And then we move over here, and you see the crosshair, it's the top left box. Okay, maybe that is a bad example. We can point this one, top right box, and it gets. It's incredible. We do not know since when the atlas is out, but now with 4.8 it works. See? You don't even need to actually target it. You just point at it, look at it, click at it. It definitely needs some practice, of course, but it does. This is not the most attractive work here in the whole process. It is tedious, time-consuming, and boring. But when we see what we get out of it at the end, basically the money for the insurance. At least we can buy some food and drinks already, but we cannot afford ammos to go into combat. Not that is the thing that we want to do, but every now and then we come into the situation that we need to. And you see how fast it is now. I mean, the distance is way too far away. It might be that if we would park the ship closer to the ramp or facing the ramp, that could be a little bit better to make it more effective. The other thing is utilizing the ship now. We would have preferred that somewhere on one of these sides you can open up a side wall and tractor beam on the side. Not a ramp like the Polaris, no, but just open up a slot, a side door. It can be a sliding door like the Cutlass Black. Something like this, just to open up, and so we can also use sideways. But from the design perspective, it wouldn't be smart to do that, because it's supposed to be an armored freighter, yeah. And if you open up something like a side door, the mechanism, the material that is used to accomplish a door can have or can get a weak spot to that armory that it's supposed to be. That's why it's totally okay. It's just what we would wish to. And this is basically the one thing that actually proves that if you want to work efficient enough, you need to be in a crew. And or park the ship closer. And we probably do that because we will exit here as well, and we're gonna sell the RMC. We want to have an empty ship at the end of tonight. Then we go to Lowville, do some customization on our vehicles, and bring stuff into the ship. We want to have the MPAF tractor, we want to have the RSI Ursa in the ship. I mean, the Ursa is basically just a very expensive convenience, if you will, so that we do not need to do more logistics. I mean, we like the idea of having ship storage, internal ship storage, where we can put water and drinks in it. What we don't like about it is the trashing aspect, yeah. I mean, when we do solo, we can manage the stuff, but as soon as crew members are here, things get messy. And I can show you what we mean with when we go here. Yeah, ice cream. We offered ice cream, but they didn't need it. Yeah, this is just the beginning. Music here in the hangar. Yeah, we would like to scrap hulls, but there seem to be, yeah, it's not verified, but there seemed to be a bug with the intake ratio. We thought that is the thing that it used to be or should be, because, yeah, well, it's Star Citizen, right? Everything that can make you money needs to be tedious, so we thought it is as designed that we do not get more RMCs out of the scrapping stuff, but it seems to be a bug, so that the scrapping heads are not efficient enough. And even these 1,000, yeah, at the beginning you think, oh, amazing, we got 1,000 SCUs of construction materials, so we did a great job. Just to realize as soon as you go to the refinery terminal that you not even get a quarter of the amount of SCUs back after refinement. Of course, we could go to another station. Maybe we do that for Misc Day tomorrow. Maybe we go to Hurl 1 just to have a test out if we see differences in the refineries when it comes to construction materials. We do not expect any difference, to be honest, because we don't see the point of it. And the refineries that you do refinery job for construction material is somewhat new. It's not that, let's say, developed or progressed like mining with all the refinery orders for the refined mining stuff. One thing that we can say here as well, what we notice is that we can actually tractor beam the boxes out of the ship, yeah. Before, prior 4.8, that was a rarity, because sometimes you could not touch the boxes on the ship's grid with the atlas. You had to go off-grid it manually, and then it would be available for the atlas. That was kind of pain, but now that works. Yeah, it's not that we always want to be criticizing and let's say for the cult members, talking bad about Star Citizen. No, we just see, observe, reflect and point at it. That's the only thing what we do. And if stuff doesn't work, we point at it. It's that simple. It's nothing about negativity. If you feel that what we are saying is negative, that's on you. If you are a believer, and wants to be that, or wants to have Star Citizen successfully, and everything what we say basically underlines that it's not, and you feel offended or whatever, then that is on you. Don't get me wrong, we also want to have Star Citizen to be successfully, but we don't see it. We don't see it, but there is completely another, let's say, theory what we are crafting, since we noticed the insurance fraud, or let's say analyzed a little bit the insurance fraud. You can see the video on our YouTube channel if you are interested in. I mean, it's just the tip of the iceberg. It's just an observation we make. The actual factual scientific test we haven't done yet, but we will do that with the RSI SUS. Yes, we are about to lose a ship paint for the RSI SUS just for the sake of testing. Foxy Loxy did test runs on the PTU, but we know there can be quite some changes from the PTU to the PU, so we didn't really care, let's say, what Foxy Loxy actually did, but he gave us an idea on how and what we could test once we are ready to. And we lost maybe the cyclone paint and the ship loadout, not because the loadout insurance stuff didn't work properly. Maybe we lost it because of the server error and the loss of our so-called personal hangar. And that everything combined led to this experience we had. But we will see when we do the next test. Looks like as if we are here somewhat on a limit. Yeah, today crosshair doesn't really work. We assume it is because we are not horizontal on the ground. Yeah, of course we could use the tractor beam, but if we would do that, it would take even longer. It would be more precise, definitely, but it would take way longer. So we stick to the Atlas just because it's easy. I mean, easy, faster at the end. But we can say the opening of the ramp is actually quite nice. So the box is actually, it touches the ship, but it doesn't look like as if it would damage. We do not know, but it looks like as if it doesn't do damage. And it easily goes in both ways, we figured. In and out, relatively easy. And that is a huge plus point for the ironclad compared to the Crusader Starlifters. There sometimes it's a little bit difficult to bring the boxes especially in, and it depends on the angle. It's also difficult to bring it out properly, and with properly mean from the ship's grid directly onto the elevator's grid. Yeah. What we could do, of course, is we could tractor beam the boxes over the roof. We usually do that. I mean, what does it mean? Usually we have the ironclad since few days, but the problem is we experience there is an uncertain number of boxes that can be in a limited zone, which is the hangar, that can be off-grid. If you exceed the amount of if you exceed the number, it can happen that you lose boxes. I mean, it happened to us. We lost high value commodity, but we realized. And here is a grid. Yeah. We haven't figured out yet if you lose it if you quantum jump. But we do not have the money. Yeah, we cannot afford yet to do testing on that. And this is somewhat of a salvager's dream to see all these yellow boxes. But when you then see the numbers of boxes after refinery job, a quarter of it, yeah, imagine a quarter of it. We can do some measurement here. When we would fill up the hangar properly, how many SEUs do we bring in here? 800. Yeah, almost 900, but 800, 200 SCU. If it is linear, that quarter of pieces to the CMAT, then we will get 200 SCUs at the end, if it's linearly. But if it's degressive, yeah, not progressive, but degressive, then it wouldn't be 200, it would be even less, but it would be more. Yeah. Yeah, and once we offloaded the construction pieces, we will set up the refinery order and then heading to Terra Mills to get rid of the RMCs. That will give us enough money for the insurance we want to make for some of our vehicles. And when you use or play, Star Citizen as a simulator, not only in science fiction space, where flying rocks in space circling around other rocks but also these logistics aspects of the refinery and insurance stuff, then you can get a glimpse on how insurance actually work, in what business insurance companies are, and what supposedly video game developer like CIG and Robert Space Industries are doing with the business of insurance applied to insurance ship loadout on spaceships. And yes, the simulation is not the original, so they can do adjustments to their insurance, and that could be different to what we know in IRL. That doesn't necessarily mean that the main mechanics underneath is vastly different. We expect nuances that are different, but the general functionality and the principle of an insurance is basically the same. And if that wouldn't be the case, what they transferred into Star Citizen, then they did an absolute miserable job. And we know when it comes to money that CIG doesn't do a miserable job, and also not RSI. Yeah, unfortunately, we definitely do have more than 890 SCUs, so we need to lower the elevator before we completely emptied the ship. Yeah, last night we saw someone with a reclaimer, and we assume that he pledged for the reclaimer, or the reclaimer is a loan of something, because you cannot make that fast that much money to afford a reclaimer unless the duping and exploitation already started. If we would do that kind of stuff, we would wait few months actually to start increasing the money flow as part of an inflation like we had before, and not during free fly, because free fly is cancelled, and the excuse they made publicly is because of the contracts. The contracts don't work, and they actually don't work reliably, but we don't think, we do not believe that that is the actual real reason why they cancelled free fly. So what do we have? 700. Looks like as if we don't have 1,000. Because these few boxes. I mean, it's not bad. Yeah. It's not bad to have that amount of construction materials. But you see on the box's behavior, if you have too many boxes off-grid floating in space, like these boxes, and we float them, we don't mean in the air, we mean floating in space, the grid, the coordination grid, that space. No, 72. What was I going to
to the ASOC vehicle retrieval system.
So what we see is we need to relog the launcher in order to get stuff we pledged for last night. Yeah, we used stock credit for that. Alright, heading back to the refinery. We do this job, we do this work order, and then we are heading out to Terra Mills. Sometimes it's weird, sometimes the ship despawns immediately. Fuck is going on? Do we have surveyor? Did we use the wrong terminal for the wrong elevator?
We get a fire marshal down to decom.
Okay, what we do here is, in general, everything what we have here is no. This workload, the fourth work order, is RSI day. Here we see 848 SCUs. And which one did we do? This one? High yield. 6,700. Yeah. This one is cheaper. Way cheaper. 48 hours. This is less hours than this one. Yeah. This one will be faster than this one. We assume that this contract, this work order had way more SUs than we delivered now, which is weird, but could be possible because the Drake just had better ships for salvaging. Let's put it that. And here we can see we get 170, yeah, we round it up, 170 SUs out of these. We would even say this is a rip-off. We would even say this is a fucking rip-off. No matter what you're saying, we know it is part of the game, if you will. But nevertheless, somebody designed this mechanism. Somebody decided to make it this way and launch with it. And we say it's a fucking rip-off. It's a fucking rip-off. That is a 20%. That is a 20% straight. That is a fifth. It's not even a quarter. It's a fifth of what we delivered. That means it is actually digressive. It's not linear. You cannot say it is always a quarter or less than a quarter. I mean, a fifth is less of a quarter, but fuck. Fuck. Go for it. Do we have something to drink? No. Cruise is the best. Interaction delay, do we need to expect to get server error or what? Oh, this is too stupid. Yeah, today we do not fly with joysticks. We have some technical issues, we would say, with the equipment. The neighbor's cat is enjoying the sunset. Yeah, we like this ladder. Gives us a fast entry into the ship. And what this insurance stuff also forces us, as long as we cannot afford the insurance stuff, we need to come back here to get the moth. We cannot just claim the moth wherever we are. We need to bring it to the location where we want to salvage. And when it comes to roleplay, we would say, okay, why not? I mean, it's a simulator, and why not pretend to? But when you cannot afford, then it's a little bit difficult, and we would even say yeah, VTOL has a massive effect. Oh, we lost the Atlas. Oh no. Close the roof. Yes, closes. else? Yeah, this is stupid. We don't like it. Ah, look at that. Pressing R is the thing. Then it roots. Okay. Okay, learned something new. This is something what we did back in the day. And then long time we haven't done it. And this is interesting, right? We lose our fucking target. It is so stupidly. I mean, they acknowledge, they say they will want to deliver a hot fix on that on Tuesday. And they had a talk, or at least we saw a video of they pretending having a talk. It is not intentional, not in that way. Oh, that is interesting. What's going on? Yeah. Usually when we quantum jump, we go smoking. So we don't know what really happened here. We cannot leave through the airlock. And bricked means we cannot do anything anymore. And now we have floating brick here. Can we go in here? Let's ask global. Yeah, if that is something like a standard procedure, then the ironclad is absolutely not reliable. Doesn't do the job. So at least it looks like as if nobody. Yeah, we are kind of stranded. We need to wait until somebody shows up. But for the stream, this is it. Thanks for watching and see you next time.